that they have lost all sense of sanity. I must tell you about a phone call that I received this evening from a reporter. And he said to me, can I just ask you for a comment? So I said, about what? Oh, the former, I think it's Secretary of Anwar Ibrahim, is alleging that you are going to be, or you have been nominated as the Vice President, the first non-Malay Vice President of PAS. So, I burst out laughing. He burst out laughing. So I said, there's your answer, even you are laughing. So I said, no such thing. And I said, but I appreciate your calling me to confirm the accuracy. TV3 tonight, I received an SMS from a friend. TV3 tonight announces it. Anwar Ibrahim has purportedly appointed me or nominated me to be Vice President of PAS. Matsabu, I don't know whether you know anything about it. Because I sure don't. But the tragedy, it's such a joke, right? The tragedy is TV3 reporting it. What kind of journalists worth their salt? And this is not the fault of the journalists, I'm talking about those who control, the producers of the show. What kind of people allow announcements like that to be made so irresponsibly? But you know, isn't it sad that the standard of journalism of this country, to what level we have stooped? But the journalists are fighting back. NUJ. And good for them. We must support them. Not too long ago, the NUJ president came out saying, we are handing a memorandum to all the editors saying, don't change our stories that are written by the journalists. Now, this is something we must encourage, because so often the journalists have come up and said, I'm sorry, but they've re-altered it, or they've cut out key parts and skewed the story completely. So, who are these people who are doing this? Are they journalists? No. They're not professional anyway. But the journalists must fight back. You must fight back, and we will back you when you do that. So when NUJ comes out saying this is what we want, we must all support them. We must support them. Because let me tell you, don't underestimate how much of this propaganda works. I was listening to the news without knowing which country they were talking about when a commentary was being made that recent elections held was so skewed towards the president. I'm talking about, of course, the Soviet Union elections. And one of the key factors there was the press. It was the press that had skewed the reporting in a big way. Skewed the reporting in a big way so that the President Putin could win. So you see, don't underestimate, don't think I'm not going to buy the Straits Times and I'm going to switch off TV3 and that answers the problem. It doesn't. It doesn't. What we need to do is to encourage our journalists to come out and not participate in such lies. That's what we must encourage them to do. We must give them the strength and courage to do that. So what is all this? One more thing I want to talk about is the question of leadership. There's no point having people leading if they don't show leadership. My own view is that on matters of religion, for example, there is no leadership in this country. There should be far more leadership shown. Instead, what's happening is people are being allowed, groups are being allowed to fight it out amongst themselves. That's not a good way of resolving these issues. Similarly with racial issues. Where is the leadership to say that racism will not be tolerated? And I don't get it actually, because I have no doubt if the leadership comes out and says we have zero tolerance for racism, they will get more votes. So I don't get it actually. I don't know where they think they're going to get their votes from if they carry on allowing this kind of racism to breed. So it all ultimately boils down to this. You may be a leader, but are you a statesman or a stateswoman? And what does it mean to be a statesman or stateswoman? Statesmanship means a politician or political figure who is highly respected. It also means this person can organically bring people together, of eldership, with a spirit of caring for others and for the whole, not for the individual. It is someone who unites and does not divide. It is someone who holds firm to their oath of office to serve the people. It is someone that we can trust. Now, Tunku Abdul Rahman, I remember growing up, my father saying that the Tunku made everyone feel Malaysian, a part of Malaysia. And he inspired all the races. You know his famous speech where he says there's a place for everyone under the Malaysian sun. He inspired all the races to work together, to work for the country, to build up. I know that because my father was one of those people. Dr. Idris knows my father, Dr. Tan knows my father, they all know it. They are part of the growth of Malaysia, the history of Malaysia. They laid the building blocks. And that's how they felt. They felt a part of a mission to make Malaysia wonderful. And because of that, he got the best out of everyone. The only other time, I believe, we ever had that feeling of togetherness was on the 9th of July, 2011. And you know what that shows? That's what we want from now on. That's what Malaysians want. Not your one Malaysia sloganeering. We want it to really happen. And we are ready. We've also shown it can happen. We've also shown we can do it. We've also shown we're not afraid of the bogeyman, the May 13th bogeyman. We're not afraid anymore. And we must also show, as we go along, that we will not tolerate thuggish behavior. We must all come out strongly, whether we write in the media, whether we speak about it. We must say, this is unacceptable. Malaysians will not accept this behavior. Now, the arrogance of power has made many of our politicians think they are Superman or the Incredible Hulk. They think they're invincible, that's the point. They think they can bully. When that happens, only the people can cut them down to size. So come the 13th general elections, ladies and gentlemen, choose candidates, vote for people who will be statesmen. Be very clear what your goal is. Be certain about where we're headed, about the kind of Malaysia that you want, because I know what that is. Deep in my heart, deep in your hearts, you know what that is. Now, Bersih has started a campaign called Jom 100. This leaflet is also outside. And what this is a campaign to try and achieve 100% voter turnout. That's what we're aiming for. Now, our voter turnout is not too bad at the moment. It's about 75%. And what we want, though, is to push that. Even if you push it to 90%, 85 to 90%, it will make a difference. And I'll tell you why. It makes a difference because you can minimize fraud by attaining a high voter turnout. Because how much can they cheat? And we know they're going to cheat. And I'll tell you why I think they're going to cheat. This is coming from civil society. It's because of the reports that we're receiving. We receive reports of continuous electoral fraud. We are receiving reports of people being moved, of sudden numbers increasing. And I think, Nurul, you're one of the targets, Lembah Pantai. So you've got to make sure you all turn up. And so they have a few target areas, and that's where you see numbers increasing. You see, we also hear reports of numbers of people who are going to be given citizenship, etc., etc. So when you see that happening, and you hear that happening, then how genuine are they about electoral reform? What is the PSC doing? I think the PSC actually is probably doing a reasonably good job, a pretty good job in fact. And I believe we're going to have their report. But unless the government implements the 8 demands of Bersih at the minimum and the recommendations of the PSC, to me, they have wasted their time. Before the 13th general elections, then they have wasted their time. Do we think that's going to happen? I'm a little worried because there are many of the demands of Bersih that can be implemented even without the PSC recommendations. One of which is a free and fair media. Why can't we have that now? What's difficult about changing that? If the government is genuine in moving for reform, in making a difference in the 13th general elections, then by now we should have already seen changes. I know indelible ink has come in, that's a good thing. I congratulate them for that. But that's not the only demand of Bersih. There are many others that will make a difference. And yet they're so slow to implement. As I say, listen to the rubbish TV3 is spewing still. Now, that gives me cause for concern. So I am not convinced we will have a free and fair elections. But we must push for it and we must try our best. The Russian elections, a lot of complaints about the Russian elections. But 2 things they had in the Russian elections. One was they installed webcams in every polling center. The other thing is they had international observers. Now if Malaysia thinks our system is so good and flawless, why don't they bring in international observers? That's what they should be doing. And I'll end with this point. Unfortunately, the Election Commission should be far more independent than it is, but it's not. We know that. The Election Commission is supposed to consist of people who enjoy public confidence. Do they enjoy your confidence? They don't enter, certainly I don't have confidence in them. And I'll tell you why. Because one of the reasons is in 2003, they did a redelineation exercise that is skewed so heavily in favor of the Barisan government. They don't even need to do a new exercise. It's already skewed. And someone did a survey and they said, if they win 15 to 18% of the popular vote, they can get a simple majority in parliament. How can that be right? And who is this election commission that is helping the government in power, when what they should be doing is being fearless, absolutely independent, and serving the people? Not the government of the day, the people, the Raya. That's what they should be doing. And have you noticed, when Bersih first started, just before the 9th of July, Bersih said, look, many things are wrong. What did the election commission come out and say? Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with the system. Then there was the Bersih rally. Then we had the PSC. And then we had the Malaysian public. They're the best investigators, citizen investigators. They came out and they started going through the electoral roll, finding out many discrepancies. And have you noticed, it is only when the discrepancies are pointed out to the EC, they do something about it. Otherwise they keep quiet. Because if you don't find out, then they don't have to do anything about it. When it is their job to make sure that electoral roll is clean. And then, what do? Initially, when I remember I had a debate with the EC deputy chair, oh no, indelible ink is bad. Can't be done, this, that. PSC comes on and says, use indelible ink, now they're using it. What kind of election commission doesn't know how to deal with these issues that relate to elections, who are always giving us the wrong information? So I will stop there, because I can go on and on about that, but I will stop with this. Is everybody registered to vote here, by the way? Yes. And are you all going to vote? Yes. It is absolutely critical that you do. Yes. Because it is only when you exercise your vote, that's when you bring power to your vote. And everybody has to do it together. Every single vote counts. And it is only when the people can change a government, that is when the power comes back to you. And the only way you can do that is by all of you turning out and voting. So Joe 100. Thank you.